be seated. On this second Sunday in Advent, we really hear the clarion call of the Advent season. Prepare the way of the Lord. Make his paths straight. And there are many ways in which we prepare the way of the Lord on these weeks leading to Christmas. One of the ways on this second Sunday, which is the day before a special feast tomorrow, December the 6th, we have the unique pleasure of having a special guest with us this morning to come and share with us and help us in preparing the way of the Lord. So do welcome to Holy Trinity this morning, St. Nicholas.
Greetings. I bring you greetings from the Myra. Myra is a small town in what is today called Turkey. I am Bishop Nicholas. I was bishop around the year 300. And it was very interesting how I became bishop. I was on my way to church, and little did I know that they were busily trying to elect a new bishop. Now that's something you'll be doing in about a year from now, by the way. And they were deadlocked, could not decide. So the Holy Spirit came and inspired them, and they said, the next person to walk into the church named Nicholas will be our bishop. And I walk into church, and they said, hello, who are you? I said, I'm Nicholas. And they handed me the crozier and the mitre, and there it was. Great history. Now, it was a very interesting time to be a Christian. Rome was the power, and Christianity was actually an illegal, prohibited religion. Actually, you could be executed if you were known to be a Christian. On the other hand, there was mostly, at that time, a don't ask, don't tell approach to Christianity for a little while. And then the emperor at the time was concerned things weren't doing well and blamed it on the Christians. So there was great persecution of Christians. And I, as a bishop, was thrown into prison and was there for many, many years until the Emperor Constantine finally became emperor, and now Christianity was the state religion. And Christians fought with each other about the nature of Jesus and so on. And they had this thing called the Council of Nicaea, and I was there. Got into a fist fight, but that's a different story. But we don't know of Nicholas for that. What we really know about Nicholas is that I was rich. Maybe that's why they made me bishop. But the deal is that there were poor people in town, and in particular there was a poor man who had 3 daughters. Now, things were not good for women in those days, I'm sorry to say. Young women needed to get married. If they didn't get married, well, their lot was not good. They'd be sold into slavery or something worse. So, but to get married, you had to have a dowry. You had to bribe the groom to marry your daughter. So this poor man had these 3 daughters, and he really wasn't sure what to do. So one night I go out and I take a bag of gold and I kind of throw it through the window, and it lands in one of the daughter's shoes. She has a dowry. Great. And a year or so later I do it again, as she gets older. And I did it a 3rd time, and I got caught. But I told whoever that they weren't supposed to tell the tale. Well, I guess they did, because we all know about it. So from then on, I've been known as the patron saint of young women, patron saint of children, patron saint of pawnbrokers. That's the 3 golden balls. You see the 3 bags of gold. So those are the things. So you might wonder, if you go to the mall, they got this guy in a red suit. He calls himself Santa Claus. Who is he? Well, he's me. How did I get that name? How did he get that name? Well, it has to be due to the Dutch. The Dutch had a great tradition of St. Nicholas back in the Netherlands and Holland, and they brought that with them to New York as they settled in New York at the time. And the Dutch have a way of abbreviating names. That is, usually we say Nick for Nicholas, right? Well, the Dutch, another way of talking about Nicholas is the second half of his name, Klaus. So St. Nicholas in Dutch is Sinterklaas, which somehow morphs into Santa Claus. Now, there's still some differences. Now, there are no children here, unfortunately, but there are children out there in well, I guess we'll call it land or whatever. Let's think of the right word here. Cyberland, I guess that's it. Hopefully there are children out there watching, and they all know when they go see that man in the bright suit, you know, and they sit on his lap, and he asks them a question. Anyone know what the question is?
What do you want for Christmas?
What do you want for Christmas? Yeah. Well, as St. Nicholas, I have a different question for all of you, especially the children. Christmas is about giving. So the real question is, what will you give for Christmas? And that's the question you should ask yourself. What can you give for Christmas? Even as a small child, what can you give for Christmas to show the love of God and to show the love of your parents and the love? So that's the thing to do. What do you want to give for Christmas? So I have a little story to read you, and hopefully folks will be able to still see me. Adjust the camera here, I guess. Now, this is a story that was written a long time ago, but gives us some of the ideas of, again, how St. Nicholas kind of got morphed into the guy with the red suit. It was the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, I just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there rose such a clatter, sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came. He whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. His dry leaves before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop, the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. Then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I turned in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying a finger aside his nose and giving a knob, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
Thank you, St. Nicholas. Wonderful to have you with us. And I have a question for you. You had a question for us, I have a question for you.
Okay.
The author of the story you just read, who was that?
His name was Thomas More, or Emmett Thomas More. He was the son of the bishop at the time. He himself studied for orders. I don't think he was ever really ordained himself, but he grew up in the then rectory, because the bishop lived in the rectory, and the house that he describes in the book was an old house which did have some mice in it, and so yes, he was Episcopal. By the way, he's an Episcopal bishop.
Episcopal bishop, that's right. This story is our story.
Yes.
Actually, he was at, I believe, General Seminary in New York City at the time that he wrote this story, our seminary in New York City. So, and lots of things have been written about St. Nicholas over the centuries. One of them is a very good hymn, which is inserted in your bulletins. And let's join together as you stand, and we'll sing the hymn of St. Nicholas.